MMOs.com, in their infinite wisdom and professional integrity, released the Brightest Shores launch trailer a week early. Now that the trailer is public, I get to do my new favorite hobby, staring at every individual frame until my eyes bleed to see what hidden details I can find for you guys. I've also got some information from the closed beta I'll be sharing alongside the trailer to reveal some never before seen systems. Our most important question answered: you can pet the animals. The trailer goes into depth about the first hours of the game by giving us a look into the 5 professions we unlock in episode 1. Each episode has its own total level, which is the sum of all your profession levels within the episode. This is important because episodes require a certain level to progress to the next one, as seen here. Obviously, I can't show this shot and not talk about the Unicode emojis here real quick. Really hoping we see this blend into the game's aesthetic in the future, because this is about as immersive as a hammer mage to the face right now. We get a look at foraging, which starts you out by robbing the local population, as well as this UI, which shows progression and how frequently you unlock new activities. Active fishing is also performed in shallow water, a small timer per action showing it is obviously a very busy activity compared to the passive version of idle fishing with a rod, which we unlock later. When you gather or craft a resource for the first time, you collect the info card to your album and get a burst of experience. The album in question is in the unlock screen and looks like this. In terms of progression, even excluding the first time bonus for the resources, it only takes 9 of these flounders to get to level 1, and likely level 2 after a whole inventory. This already lets you move on to the next activity. Same thing applies for all other experience drops we see in this trailer. Moving between levels and activities is actually frequent. Now, obviously this is still early game and experience rates and levels come faster compared to late game, but this combined with the amount of activities we know there are, as well as the high total level, is pretty exciting. Crafting takes place in the apothecary and kitchen, as well as our first sighting of the crafting recipe screen. On the screen, we have a huge amount of recipes that range from level 4 up to 379. Note, however, there's a huge gap between 102 and 379. We can see that these items have the basic attribute to them. As we get to higher levels, we do the same recipe, but as a higher grade that gives more experience and rewards. Notably, there are passive crafting activities in here as well. Crafting recipes additionally have a sub-menu where you use higher tiered, reskinned resources found at higher levels. These higher tiered items are gathered from the same nodes as you level up. For example, we can see the Ragged Outlaw and the Vagabond Goblin at level 0, but the Disreputable Outlaw and the Warty Goblin at 10 and 12. Recipes have steps you must complete individually, but can be performed in batches, similar to Runescape 3. In the crafting facility, we also see separate banks, a reagents bank as well as a completed potions bank. Hopefully we don't need to run back here to stock up every time, but we'll see. Alchemy creates potions you use in combat, whereas we can see food is used to sell for money, making a profit skill similar to detective and merchant. Food can also be used to complete bounties given at the chef's bounty board. As for spending our digital hoards of wealth, we get a look at the fishing store. We can buy containers such as buckets and crates for fishing. These are the same buckets and crates we've seen before, and as speculated, are used during passive gathering activities such as the sterlings, which can then be cooked later on passively as well. Professions appear to need tools such as this fishing spear, which is a large one-time permanent purchase. 12 silver is required to buy the spear, and the first available level 0 fish is through spearfishing. We can see that the spear has these 2 icons. The first icon I believe to be a tier icon, and the second is something to do with enchantment, which we can see matches the Enchantress shop. The Enchantress shop offers bonuses to your non-combat tools, and they also carry over when you upgrade tools as well. I expect we will see our largest gold sinks be one-time permanent purchases, but we'll have to see how expensive it gets later on in the game. Personally, this frames the game in a form of linear progression, at least making sure the first couple of hours in the game are structured rather than open. Andrew has stated this is actually by design. As you actively train professions, you will gather a resource called Knowledge. This is used to purchase one-time rewards similar to XP lamps and unlock the passive activities. This means you must do some form of active training before you train passively. There are 18 professions in total on launch. Two new ones we haven't seen until today are the Episode 2 Gatherer skill, which functions similar to Forager, and the Episode 3 Bone Right, which is a crafting skill. These resources show that they can be gathered or created in one episode, but is useful for crafting in another, which is something we haven't seen yet either. This cow leather, for example, is created with the Leatherworker skill, and is used in the Episode 4 Merchant skill, or the Episode 5 Armorer skill in the future. Combat was finally revealed in this trailer. We see that in the Episode 1 combat profession, we fight trainers, goblins, and weapon bells. Combat starts with the player choosing what weapon they want to initiate with. We can see this shows their equipment is potentially weaker than their opponents in some way. Once fighting, hits fly out on a rolling attack cooldown. There's still slots for special attacks, presumably with similar cooldowns, but we haven't seen them yet in this trailer. Drinking a potion does lower this stackable slot by 1, and we can also see it slows you down significantly in combat, by about 1 full attack cycle. Ironically, this player is a trash Cypher noob because they took 11 damage after healing 11 and should feel cringe for being inefficient. At the end of the combat, we can see that the player pushes this button and casts immunity, allowing them to leave combat immediately and heal to full before defeating the enemy. They also appear to get a shielding buff at the top of the screen. This icon is shown on the area's doors as well, implying it must be clicked before you move on. Andrew has said this takes some time to cast and doesn't make the combat too easy. I'm led to believe this means that the world of Adothria isn't exactly dangerous for the player, but this is still only Episode 1. Equipment you obtain is tied to each combat profession within each episode. For example, even though this guard chest piece on the right is higher level, it offers 0 stats in Episode 2, and thus you must use the scout equipment on the left. Same thing applies to weapons as well. To aid with this, we have a Quartermaster spell which will allow us to store our equipment and access it quickly. The design behind this means that the game can be expanded in episodes without worrying about balance in between them. Your Episode 1 gear will always be relevant whenever you return to Episode 1, for example. This is kind of similar to the equipment system in Cube World. Hopefully it doesn't go the same way Cube World went though. The trailer didn't reveal any information about the factions, but you don't care about that. You're still hungry for information. That's why you're here, right? Well, I'm here to deliver. Cryonites are infused with Cryone, Guardians with Arbore, and Hammer Mages with Tempeste. The primary gameplay difference between the factions is the equipment they wear. In the game, Cryonites prefer metal weapons and armor, Guardians use bone, and Hammer Mages with scales. Armors have their own specific resistances to the elements, and weapons have a statistic which gives them a probability of doing magic damage of their infused element. Some enemies are immune to a chosen element and weak to another. There are no magic spells wielded by the classes, it's just the equipment. And this brings me to the most exciting point to show you. Tempeste is strong against metal and thus Cryonites. Plants don't like the cold and are weak to Cryone, which of course means, best of all, Guardians kick Hammer Mage ass. Sorry, Hammer Mages, your reign ended before it even began. The trailer refers to a series of quests in the Hopeport region. We appear to be able to speak to any NPCs, but the noteworthy ones show that they have something to talk about or potentially give us a quest. This quest log shows it has 9 updates and changes as the player progresses the quest they're on. We can see the player go through a couple of cutscenes where they're dining with a ship captain, healing the guards, and being a pervert, but none of the rewards or what the main story is for now. This confirms for us that the quests are indeed RuneScape-like, on top of the profession-specific bounty boards which give generated quests for rewards. A couple of extra things to add is that we have a confirmed subscription price of £4.99 and a $5.99 USD per 30 days, which is a great price. In the community tab, we can see nearby players, friends, and block players. There have been no information about a guild or clan system in the game as of yet. Lastly, there have been confirmed boss fights with some simple mechanics, but I won't show these for spoiler reasons. Now obviously this can't be a breakdown video without my certified YouTuber opinion, so you can parrot it to other people, or you can tell me I'm objectively wrong in the comments. I believe this long-awaited trailer is worrying, but ultimately good for the game as it clears up the air. This proves what I thought from the start, that this game, in spite of its similarities with RuneScape, is also very different. And while there are many things here to enjoy, many expectations will also be ruined. And as much as people exclaim, "Don't expect RuneScape from the rooftops," they will. The opening couple of hours appear to be structured and linear, rather than dropping you in the middle of Lumbridge to get lost and overwhelmed. Andrew says he doesn't like this feeling, but a lot of people fondly talk about it as the most memorable part. They fell in love with the game they played for over 20 years for. Professions are gated. Progression is gated. Even though we have multiple character slots, each character will experience the same journey each time to begin. Each player will experience very similar journeys each time. You eventually will get the freedom to pick and choose what you'd want to do, but that is only after you've fully explored and unlocked the game. 3 times if you want to run all factions. Some people are expecting the roleplay experience of the freedom to be able to do and choose what they want, but they won't get this, not right away. To be clear, I am still excited to play the game, and I'm still going to be making content for the game. But I see rocky seas ahead of us as people leave negative reviews on the game with the opinions they're entitled to, followed by 1,000 comments from fans telling them why their opinion's wrong and that they should thumb it up instead. Healthy criticism is what will help a game like this absolutely flourish. And you can help me flourish by liking this video and subscribing. That's everything I found in the trailer. If you want to find out more about the game, check out my other pre-release video, which goes into the depth on all the other footage we've seen, or literally just go play, as it's available free to play on Steam right now. Thanks for watching.